Prior to the Congress of Vienna, Britain had corn laws that inhibited trade on grain in and out of the country. It had a really big tax. So the Prime Minister at the time, Robert Peel, didn't like them at all. He thought they were terrible for the economy, and he would always try and get rid of them, but the rest of the government just didn't let him. For a really long time, this went on, and to keep, like, riots under control, like discontent in the country, they implemented the Combination Acts and the Coercion Acts. The Coercion Acts basically banned boycotts, any like public rebellion, and the Combination Acts banned unions and strikes among workers in the country. So these rules kept things under control for a really long time, like no one could do anything about it. But after like a couple dozen years in 1845, he had a really good excuse to get rid of the corn laws because of the Irish potato famine. Their crop failed and like people were literally starving to death. So he told the government, "Hey, people are starving to death. We have to get rid of these corn laws now." And then he got to get rid of them.
This is where it all began. Napoleon had just been exiled, and Bounce was to be re-established in Europe after all destruction made by one man, Napoleon. This is Clemens von Metternich, Austrian Prime Minister.
Foreign Minister.
Oh, Austrian Foreign Minister and leader of the Congress of Vienna. The Congress of Vienna, or the Quadruple Alliance, was made up of 4 countries. Representing Prussia was Prince Karl August von Hardenberg, the Chancellor, as you can see here, and the diplomat and scholar Wilhelm von Humboldt. And for Britain was Duke of Wellington. And not to mention Tsar Alexander I, who controlled the Russian delegation.
So this is the second time it's happening. Once in 1815 and now in 2065. This is happening with the new Napoleon, Napoleon's descendant, Napoleon, and he was exiled to Elba, and we replaced him with the legit monarch of Louis XVIII.
Might I mention that all of us are descendants of members from the old Congress of Vienna?
Anyways, Metternich believed in
Principle of legitimacy.
Yes, the principle of legitimacy.
So basically this principle was used to reestablish peace and stability in Europe. It was to restore the legitimate monarchs back to their right place, because that'd be pretty dope, am I right? Yeah, that's basically the principle. While restoring these legit monarchs, there were territorial changes, and with those territorial changes came a new balance of power. This would prevent anyone from dominating Europe.
For example, to match Russia's gains, Austria and Prussia would be strengthened.
There was another principle. Principle of intervention.
What's that?
The principle of intervention is basically where we send armies into countries where revolution is going on and restore the legit monarchs using violence.
I don't agree with that. That's wrong.
Why is that?
Because it's not right. We shouldn't
How?
do that.
It can fix everything.
I don't agree.
Then you can leave.
Okay, I'm done.
Due to this new principle, the principle of intervention, the British rejected it, thinking that it was too violent and unnecessary. This caused the concert of Europe to break down. However, it did not stop them from intervening in the revolutions in Latin America.
The Congress of Vienna was created after the French Revolution when 4 nations known as the Quadruple Alliance, Great Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia, were all concerned with preventing revolutions in their respective countries and one nation becoming too powerful. A prince named Clemens von Metternich was in charge of this Congress. His experience and wit ensured that the Congress of Vienna would be successful. Metternich's primary goal was restoring monarchies, and he has said he was guided by the principle of legitimacy, which is that only the legit monarch should rule. The Congress of Vienna also redistributed land that Napoleon had taken previously, mainly to create a balance of powers where no nation could become too powerful, but also to specifically contain France inside a ring of nations such as the newly made Germanic Confederation or the Dutch and Netherlands under William of Orange. Metternich's policies and peace agreements of 1815 led to a new ideology called conservatism. Writers such as Edmund Burke in his work on Reflections on the Revolution in France advocated for each generation to do what is best for the collective good. not just one person individually. A notable spokesperson for conservatism would be Joseph de Maistre. The ideology called for balance and stability, and each government took over many in Europe. This new status quo was maintained through the Concert of Europe, where the first meeting was held in 1818 to 1822 at Aix-la-Chapelle. The Quadruple Alliance then became a quintuplet by removing army occupation in France and adding them to the alliance. The next meeting in Chapeau in 1820 was not as pleasant and dealt with outbursts of revolution from Italy and Spain. The outcry was because of disapproval of the restored monarchs in Spain and Italy. Metternich then created the principle of intervention, claiming the alliance had the right to restore balance by sending in troops to any country in Europe. Britain rejected this principle, leading the others in the alliance to secretly meet at Laybach in 1821, where they authorized Austrian troops to enter Naples. In 1822, at Verona, they authorized France to invade Spain, restoring order overall in 1823. However, the restoration of order came at the cost of England breaking up and leaving the alliance simultaneously.